This woman is a artist who is a singer, actor, musician, dancer, performer. Please welcome my friend Taeko McCarroll. What kind of Asian are you?
I am Japanese, but only half.
There's no but only half. You are
But I feel like
half Japanese.
I'm half Japanese, which I'm like so team Japan, but being half, I feel like it puts you in a different category. I was born in Sacramento.
Okay.
Mom still worked in Japan, so she would take me with her. So I would be there for my first time going was 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I would spend like 3 to 4 weeks there and then come back, be here for like 3 months, go back, spend 3 to 4 weeks. It felt like I was living in Japan, even though I've never officially like had an address or like went to school in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Japanese port school in America. So you learn history and math and all those subjects that you would learn Japanese.
And do you speak fluently, right?
Yeah, so they're both Japanese and English are both my first language.
What was the experience of being half Asian and half white?
In America, I didn't experience anything that made me feel super like aware of it, other than the fact that when I would see another half Asian and white person, I was like, you are me. Like we are the same, and there's not a lot of, but in Japan, it was a little harder as a child. I would get called gaijin all the time, which is like foreigner, basically. And kids would be kind of mean about it, like, oh, that gaijin over there. And I'm like, I'm not, though. I can speak it and I feel it, and I am Japanese.
Yeah.
And I think I went through a phase where I wanted to be full. Like I wanted to be, I guess in a sense, like a real Japanese.
Uh-huh.
You get over that phase and you're like, I'm Hapa, I'm half. And you start like owning the coolness of the duality of being like Asian, Japanese, and white.
Hearing about how you grew up and stuff, and just knowing you through the years, you've always had a very strong connection to your Japanese side. Like you've always been very proud to be Japanese. Like for me, it's strange because I'm full Korean, but growing up, I was born here. My parents immigrated, and I was so embarrassed to be Korean. Given the sort of events and circumstances that have played out over the past year, where race has been such a focal point topic of conversation, and what do you feel is your responsibility representing your both sides of who you are?
It's been an interesting place, I feel like, even more as someone mixed, someone Eurasian, because when you talk about white passing, there's a different spectrum when it comes to halves, but like I feel like I'm probably more on the white passing side of halves. So do I necessarily experience that much racism? Probably not. I feel like I haven't been exposed to having a white side that's like, you're white. This is your white culture.
Yeah.
Where when I've talked to other Eurasians who might have grown up in like middle America, a lot of them are like, I didn't even know I was Asian until I was an adult and moved to New York. And then people started treating me differently. And I'm like, wow, that's such a different upbringing from me. Like, I feel like when I was in high school, my dad kind of was like, you're Irish American too, right? It was like him having to be like, don't forget,
Yeah.
you have another side. I'm like, You're right. You're right. You're right.
Having this conversation, like trying to put you in some box, like I have to say I'm Asian, or I have to say I'm white, I have to say that I'm, do you feel that pressure being mixed?
Yeah. Because you don't fit in anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now Eurasians, Hapas are finally getting recognized as like its own. It's so weird to say, but it's almost like its own ethnic group is being born. We'll never be Asian enough, and we'll never be white enough.
Mm-hmm.
We are this thing that's in the middle, this mix, this new group of a new ethnic group, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like I want to be a voice for that.
Being a part of Hamilton, it has allowed so many people of color to be front and center. They're setting a precedent now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. Already in itself, it's such a special play because it's really putting Black and brown people in the forefront and giving them that platform to be leads and to play these roles that maybe otherwise they wouldn't have the opportunity to play. I feel like with my tour, it was the first company that had an Asian George Washington, Asian Eliza, an Asian Woman 5, and an Asian Swing, and Asian conductor, an Asian second conductor. And then we had a swap of our man 2 position pretty early on, and his replacement was an Asian guy. So that's like one cast.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, yo, this is so cool, because we're so used to being tokenized, right? Like,
Or just the few, it's like one, yeah.
Yeah, you get the 1 or you get the 2, and like, can't get any more Asians.
Mm-hmm.
We got enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so cool to be like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is your first Broadway show, and
Mm-hmm.
to be put in the track of Swing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it pretty overwhelming?
Yes, I was fully drowning. I was like, why did I leave LA for this? Yeah, like just in New York, like don't know anybody, doing something that I've never done before. And then on top of that, like when I would tell people in my cast, like, oh yeah, this is my first time doing musical theater, and they're like, and your first time swinging, and it's for Hamilton? Yikes. Like, good luck. This is probably one of the hardest shows to swing ever. So year 1 was very highs and lows. It's so rewarding when you do get to like save the show and like be that person that's like, yes, the show is happening tonight because I'm here to do it, you know. Or like you have a really great run of a track that you haven't touched in like months. You're like, yes, I killed that. But then,
how many tracks are you covering?
5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 5 physical and vocally different tracks.
That's insane.
That's pretty insane. Shout out to all the swings out there.
Now you have a track. You are
yes, I am the first Asian bullet. Woo!
I feel like you've always had such a good sense of who you are.
I honestly would have to thank my parents for that. Like, I think they've just always been like, great, that's you. Like, they've never tried to steer me in a different direction, or, you know, they're like, oh, that's what you want to do? Okay, great. Like, let's do that. Oh, this is what you like? Okay, great. Let's embrace that. Like, so of course I've had the like little things here and there of like, oh, I wish I was more Japanese or full Japanese, or I wish I fit in a little bit more here. But then having parents who support you for just who you are always, and then being like, yeah, I'm pretty great the way I am. And like everybody else is pretty great the way they are too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like, you're Stella and I'm both humans and you're great, you know?
Yes.